Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Splatoon 2 commentary. In this part, we're going to be finishing up World 3?
Three,
3, yes, World 3.
I think, anyway.
Yeah.
I fucking love this game. What world are we on?
Well, that's the thing. I love Splatoon 2, but the single player is so... God. I want to like it more than I actually do, I think, is the big thing with it. And actually, these Octoling levels are a pretty good example of that. So one thing about the Octoling levels is it's the only level in every world on your first run where you can just choose whatever the hell weapon you want, which is great. That's something that I wish that they did more throughout the game, which I believe I already said in a previous part, but this is a new session, so I'm gonna be repeating shit. Deal with it. um, I also, another thing is that the movement in Splatoon, I do think, does lend itself to linear kind of like the point-to-point levels that we see through most of the game, and that's fun. But I also wish that we did get more sandbox-styled levels that weren't just reskin maps from the multiplayer. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I don't know. I think the sandbox levels are the worst part of the single player.
I don't know. Like, I don't. It's never too hard to find the actual Zapfish because they've got those giant searchlights above them.
No, I mean that's part of it. It's just a matter of I don't think they're well designed for a single player setup. They're designed to have, 8 human players running around trying to, splat the most turf or move the thing or whatever. So they're designed with that in mind, not so much one person just going around looking at things.
The
I feel they get. I feel they're very samey and tedious.
Well, the part of that is due to the fact that they structured the levels differently than they did in the original Splatoon, where it's in the original Splatoon, all you had to do was get to the end. And so they kind of took these non-linear maps and kind of made them linear. There was more than one pathway, but you kind of had to go through it in the ways that, like, the 2 or 3 ways that they designed for you, and then get to the end. Whereas here, you basically have to discover the entire thing. Really, my biggest issue with these maps is trying to find the secrets, because the secrets are almost always hidden in purple goop. So you have to cover all the purple goop in order to make sure that you find the sunken scroll or the sardinium. But the thing is that you have no way to tell whether or not the purple goop was just left there at the start of the stage and thus has something in it, or if it was splattered by one of the Octolings that are running around. So you have to be
or it's something, or it's like one we saw earlier where it's just next to the Octoling spawn point.
Yeah, so you have to be very, very, very particular with how you're covering the turf, especially since the hidden boxes are sometimes very, very picky, and you can cover part of it, but if you don't cover this specific pixel, or this much of this area, and you just happen to be like you happen to stop a second too soon, then it won't pop up, and then you're going to spend a long time looking for those last things.
It's a single player secret that requires a multiplayer mindset.
Kind of,
'Cause
yeah,
if
but
you're thinking about it, because if you're thinking about it, you're saying that if you got to find it in the opposite color goop, you have to cover it with your own turf for that way. That's turf war.
yeah, but that would also be assuming that people are good at turf war and actually cover parts of the map that are out of the way and thus are less likely to be covered by the enemy team. Because that's how you
Cover
actually
your
win
goddamn base, people.
That's how you actually win the goddamn game. Oh,
Someone else covered the goddamn base for once. It's easy points.
But we should. But no, Ted. You see, if we keep killing them, they don't have a chance to cover the floor and goop.
Yeah, but everybody knows that the last 30 seconds are the only parts of the game that matter anyway. So it's like basketball. So, if you don't cover your base, you're not going to have enough time to do that at the end, and then you're going to lose, which has happened to me so many times. Instead of super jumping to the middle and dying, which you've done the last 6 times and it hasn't helped, maybe, cover the base and build up your special and then be useful for a change, It's not that hard, guys.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Dad.
I sometimes feel really bad when I'm playing online and then I see somebody's username is just like dad or mom, and I'm like, oh, these poor guys. It's just like they're given like 30 seconds to play on their kid's Switch, and then I'm gonna just demolish them. You see, I honestly feel a little bit mean whenever I'm playing against low-leveled people, because I don't want to like be too rude, but I also want to win the match. So I don't want to go easy on them, but at the same time, like it's like a 70 to 20% win, and you know.
They'll just have to learn, same as everyone else did when
They have to
were
learn
young.
at some point in life, though. It's funny. I was last week. My little cousin Lucio was coming to visit, and he's 4 or 5 years old. And he's just entering school for the first time this year. I had to switch up, and Splatoon was up and going. Well, first off, I had to make a new account for him because I'm not letting him touch my score. And secondly, he was in the tutorial for close to half an hour, but you know, after a while, he was able to grasp that you need to shoot the balloons, and you need to go inside the goop and reload. So it's really interesting to see that even like that young of a mindset can understand the basic mechanics of Splatoon. So well played, Nintendo.
Yeah, well, that's kind of their
and
shtick.
yet Cuphead is literally impossible.
That was me being dumb there. I forgot to pick up the sunken
Scroll.
Although that one is actually a trap because there's one key in the stage and there's 2 unlockable boxes.
No, there are 2.
There
are
two
2
keys? Oh.
Yeah, it's a key hidden in a box in a very hard to reach, awkward place to hit it.
Okay, because I've never found the
trust me, I got the wrong one first. So I'm like, they wouldn't make a stage with only 1 key and 2 unlockable boxes. That would just be bad design.
Oh, that's what I thought.
So I spent about 10 minutes scouring and inking every spot I possibly could to find another key, and I eventually did.
Oh, because I couldn't find that happened to me the first time I played. I couldn't find the last key, and then I just restarted the stage eventually, and I was like, nope, I'm not opening that first box this time. Yeah. Okay, so when I first played the game, I was originally kind of disappointed when I saw this boss shadow, because I was like, oh, they're bringing back Octo-Stamp. That's really not all that... Oh, Octo-Stomp, sorry. That's not all that creative. They're just reusing content. And I got, I visibly felt myself, you know that feeling where you're like, oh, you know, and you feel that kind of sink in your chest? That was what I originally felt when I saw this. But now, after having played it, this is my favorite boss in the game. Or at least the one that got me to... This is probably the only part of the game that actually got me to burst out laughing. And it's just due to the title cards that this guy has. They're absolutely hilarious, and I love them.
But first, dynamic intro. I can see into everything.
I love that
Eventually,
music.
it's taking me forever to get up here.
I'm back! That got me to chuckle, but it's the next part that actually got me to burst out laughing. Also, his design's just weird with the little hanging legs.
Those were there in the first game. So.
Yeah, but I only just noticed that they're like wobbling back and forth while he's standing on the ground, like I can't get up. Blah, blah, blah. And I have no idea what this is supposed to be, but
it's a jacket.
And I brought the sweet new code. Yeah, I love this. I never noticed that there was actually an Octarian piloting the Gatling gun on his head. That's actually pretty cool. But yeah, so this boss I think is just really, really fun because it's just there's not as much gimmick kind of stuff to it. It's more just dodging and trying to hit his obvious weak point while getting out of the way. Oh, I thought I jumped off the stage for a second there. It's just fun to fight, you know, which I think is part of why a lot of the Splatoon 2 bosses I find are more fun than the Splatoon 1 bosses, because the Splatoon 1 bosses felt very slow in a lot of instances.
Well, they're very basic boss. Avoid the attacks, wait for the obvious opening, hit the obvious opening.
And that, not to say that isn't still the case, but I find that you do have to watch
there's more to, I think there's more to figure out here.
Also, I do feel like you can actually, attack all the time, you know, which is also the thing. Like here, as long as you're close, you can hit his seatbelt buckle thingamahoosit, you know? And that's the same with, the Octo Samurai, where you can hit him at any point. The next boss is relatively similar. Whereas in Splatoon 1, it was one of those things where you really couldn't do that much damage until you were at the point where you could actually do damage, you know? It's like the Mario Galaxy kind of boss syndrome where you only can hit the enemy when they finish their attack, and then, oh, they're weak now, now you can hit them. It's more fun to me in a boss fight when you can do damage over a more consistent period of time. That's just me, though. I don't,
No, I agree. It feels like you're actually making more progress rather than just tediously waiting.
What's the limit on that, though? Because we realize that that's kind of the reason why bosses in Sonic the Hedgehog, classic Sonic example, end in like 30 seconds because you can damage them whenever you want. So I'm wondering what's the perfect compromise between that and bosses that take 10 minutes to hit once.
Well, I guess
That's a difficulty then, but
it also depends on the type of game you're playing, because, again, with a game like Sonic, the whole point of the game is to go fast, so you want the bosses to go fast as well, I think. Whereas in a game like Mario, it's obviously not. It's supposed to be more about precision than about speed, but at the same time, you don't want to just. I think that as boring as the fights themselves are, like the Koopaling and Boom Boom fights in Mario probably move at the same pace, right about the perfect pace. It's just that the boss patterns aren't always super interesting, if that makes sense.
I can agree there. Maybe a bit more. I don't want to say invincibility frames. Think like maybe like early X games, like the Mavericks and X1, probably.
Oh yeah, Mega Man bosses tend to move at a pretty good clip, I would say.
At
least not the. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Not so much like if you're using their weakness on early Mega Man games where they go down in like 2 or 3 hits.
Yeah, the Mega Man X Mavericks, I think, are a good example. The bigger bosses in Mega Man games, I tend to find, are a little bit less fun, almost all the time, actually, no matter what series I've played. But the Maverick fights, I think, or if you're just using X-Buster or Mega Buster on Mega Man, like classic Mega Man bosses, I think, are about a balance as well. Oh boy, and this is where the hub worlds start to get obnoxious. This one isn't.
They're kind of needlessly. They start to get kind of needlessly big.
Like, I think World 3 is about as big as they probably should get. I think this is too big, and World 5 is just ridiculous. I think we spend almost an entire part just exploring World 5 on its own.
Just to unlock levels?
To unlock levels. And also, the thing is that you also have to find the secret. Well, you don't have to, but I'm doing a 100% run, so I have to find the secret stamp and the Sardinium, which actually, up to this point, I had forgotten that the Sardiniums even existed in the hub worlds. So partway through this part, I'm going to be backtracking to the earlier worlds to find those. So sorry about that. But yeah, I think, again, like, I think that a more non-linear design could work with Splatoon's controls and, like, the inking, the multiple weapons. I do feel like it could work. I just don't think that they've got it yet, and I personally don't know how they would fix it. Make
the character more versatile.
I guess that's true.
Movement-wise. I'm not talking about just guns. I'm talking about movement capabilities.
I guess that's true, but then that would make the multiplayer more complicated, and I'm not sure they necessarily want to do that, or because I don't think that they would add abilities just for the single player. I
was going to say, why can't they just add new abilities for single player?
I don't
inherently see a problem.
Because then you raise the expectations for multiplayer to have the same thing. I think that's what Ted's getting at.
Well, okay, I will say I don't have a problem necessarily with adding new abilities, but I don't see Nintendo doing it, I guess is the better way to put that, because Nintendo likes to keep things consistent for some weird reason. And if you can't use this in the single player, then it shouldn't be in the multiplayer, so... And it's one of those things where they add stuff from the multiplayer just because I guess they have it, if that makes sense. Like in this game, like they add in special weapons from the multiplayer as opposed to giving you a different kind of power-up. I think partially to get you used to the ability, but more partially because they already have that asset made and they don't want to make something new.
I think Nintendo is willing to experiment after a while. I mean, in New Super Mario Brothers Wii... like a game like 25-something years after the original Mario Brothers, they gave Mario a neat little spin in midair.
Yeah,
it's totally different.
And then they
changes the meta completely.
Although that neat little spin was basically just the Mario Galaxy spin. So, yeah. Yeah, okay, so I think... I do think that, well, for the first off, if we're talking about these areas specifically, I also think enemies would be needed if we're going to be exploring overworlds. And this is the moment where I realize, oh, right, there's Sardinians. Oops. Well, that was dumb. So yeah, I'm gonna, after I finish exploring this area, I'm going back for them. But
And you missed.
Nope. My hubris got the better of me. But yeah, well, first off, I don't know what abilities they could add to the game. For the first off, like, I'm not Nintendo. Like, they could come up with pretty much anything. So, we'll kind of wait to see. It's actually very interesting whenever you look at, like, fan-made things, and it's like, this is not something that Nintendo would ever do. For example, especially in the time before Sticker Star and Color Splash came out, there was a lot of like Paper Mario fan art where people would like come up with their own partners and stuff and like make paper versions of like Wario and Waluigi and Donkey Kong, and I'm like, they're never adding those characters to a Paper Mario game. Which, as far as I can tell, they still haven't. I haven't played Color Splash as of this recording.
No, and well, that at this point it's more of a thing where they just don't seem to want to do anything with the Paper Mario series at all. But
yeah, that's also
no.
true.
To be more accurate, they don't want to make another Paper Mario in likes of the original and Thousand Year Door.
You mean good?
Because let's be fair here. I mean, as much as we don't like Sticker Star or what Color Splash did, they're still Paper Mario games, so we just can't say that they haven't been doing anything with them. They have, which we don't like the direction.
Yeah, and I can't personally say that Color Splash is a bad game because I haven't played it. What I do see, though, is that even if it is upgraded, it is still a Sticker Star formula, and I don't want to play a game in that style. So that's why I haven't played it, just so that... And I know people say, oh, Tim, but it's actually good, and I'm like, okay, cool. Good. That's good. If it's a good Sticker Star, then that's fine, but I don't want to play Sticker Star of any shape or form. So I'm not interested. It's like one of those things where I think a lot of Metroid fans, if they saw that if they made another M sequel in that same gameplay style, even if it was like the best possible game in that style, I think a lot of Metroid fans would not want to play that game. Even though personally I would be interested in that game, but we'll get to that when we do other M, like 3 years from now, probably, eventually, maybe. Yeah.
Are we working on hyperbolic time chamber rules?
Probably. So yeah. So I mean, like 6 episodes from now.
Most likely.
Yeah. So, yeah, but we were off topic. Yeah, a lot of the times I feel like the ideas that fans have for adding like new abilities or things to their games are often very different than what a developer has in mind. And that's not to say that fan ideas are worse than developer ideas, because a lot of times they can actually be much better. It's more just a matter that it's a different mindset, I think, in general. And
they don't exactly see the creator's vision in a way, or design mentality.
This is just going off of what I've personally noticed, but I find that fan ideas tend to build off of what they've already seen, and creator ideas tend to want to do something completely different. Of course, there's obviously going to be exceptions to that, but that's just what I've noticed personally, is that...
Yeah, because at the end of the day, as much as you would like to make a Miyamoto-inspired game or design element, you are not Miyamoto.
Yeah.
So you don't know what exactly is going on in his mind. Besides, I don't know, Mario and Zelda fighting over a carton of milk. I can't read minds, people.
Or can you?
No, I can't.
Oh, I only just noticed that Callie has this like really bad fake smile for sometimes when you're talking to her and she's thinking to herself.
Yeah, she's trying to get you to go away.
Yeah. Also, I did cut because I spent like I think 20 minutes looking for this stupid Sardinium up here. And it's not. I won't say that it's dickishly hidden because you can see it very clearly from one of the ink rails. It's just something I didn't notice the first time I was going through the area. Okay, thank Christ that's
what cuts are for.
Yeah, thank Christ that's over. Next time we're going to be going bowling.
Into actual levels.
Bowling, great. Everybody loves Wii bowling. It's the best one of the 5. Woo.
It is.
Well, it is, yeah.
Sure.